like I kind of had that Christian guilt after like having premarital intercourse.
Ew, why don't you just say sex?
Okay, well, I'm trying to be proper.
How is that more proper?
You know, just trying to be mature here.
I can't.
Yeah, obviously not. Were you scared to meet someone else after your first marriage?
I honestly wasn't, but I definitely was not anticipating that next person was going to be the person that I ended up with.
Which was immediately. Yes. I just got scammed on Facebook Marketplace.
Pretty much knew you were getting scammed.
I mean, if I knew I was getting scammed, I wouldn't have done it.
I know, but you knew there was a risk of it.
There was a potential. Yeah. The thing is that I initiated, like, cause I was like, hey, like I'll come by and grab it tomorrow. I'm trying to get a Duna. We're trying to get the Duna stroller. It's everybody says it's like a must have, but you only use it for like a year, maybe a year and a half max because your kid, outgrows it, but it's so convenient. And so I'm trying, I was trying to get it secondhand from New York, somebody in New York, and they got me. They got me good. What was it? How, like, this is for anybody that's going on Facebook Marketplace. I'm trying to save you here. If they want a deposit before you go and see it, it's probably a red flag. That's what ended up happening. Cause I was like, well, can I come by and like, if I come by tomorrow, can I have it for $100? Cause he was selling it for 125. And the stroller normally is like $550. So the fact that it was that cheap, it should have been a flag in itself probably. But then I said, okay, well, if I come by tomorrow, I'll swing by, I'll pick it up. Cause I want to go in person to see it. I'm not going to have somebody ship it. Cause that's another flag. Like in my opinion, if somebody says that they're willing to deliver it or ship it as well as pickup, because they just want you to pay them money. And so then they're like, oh, well, I'll need a deposit to take it off the market. And so I said, okay. He said $25. I'm like, I'll give you 20. Because in my mind, I was like, you know what? If this isn't a scam, it's like, it's just $20. And so I zolled him, and then there was like some pause. And then he's like, okay, let's exchange contact info. I said, okay. So then he gave me his number, and then I gave him mine. I was like, okay, there's nothing that I can get from my phone number. But then as soon as I gave him my number, I got a text from quote unquote Zelle saying that your $20 was refunded from the person, like the email that he gave me. And then I was like, refunded, huh? And then he said, hey, my cousin said that the Zelle was refunded immediately. Do you mind, like, can you click on, he just said click on it, obviously very broken English, and said, can you click on it and then send it to my personal Zelle? So he didn't do a great job, because he said click on it, which there was nothing to click on. There was like the email that he gave me, there was that was clickable. Mm-hmm. That was it. So then he said click on it and send it to me personally. I just don't like to give mine out. I haven't used it in a while. So then I was like, you son of a gun. I'm like, this is the plan. I'm like, because in my mind, I'm like, it's only $20. So it's like,
is it worth it?
Is it really worth it to spend hours trying to like get people to give you a couple, like $15-$20? I guess it adds up if you get enough people. But like, I didn't think it would be that worth it to try to do all that. So then it was the whole plan was to get me to click on whatever that is, so that then they would get into my account or something, probably, or just try to get me to Zelle them again, so that they make and then just
But
maybe
still, like,
just do it over and over and
How
over.
many times are you going to do that?
Maybe twice. I mean, maybe once. Maybe they're expecting like,
Sure.
you pay, hey, it
Right.
got refunded. Do you mind like selling?
Again.
And then you do it again. They get, double their money,
But still,
whether it's 40 or 50 bucks.
$40.
And then they bounce, which is what happened. As soon as I called them out, then this person left the chat.
But you didn't send twice. You only sent it
No,
once.
I only sent once. So that just happened, but
Well, you gotta let it go because you said
I know
I'm
it's
willing
just
to
like
lose
the
the 20
principle.
bucks.
It's like it's something. Things like that are so irritating. It's like I can't believe there are people like this. I know I can believe it. I know they're bad. Like I know. I think innately, the majority of people are good, and there are exceptions that where people are. They're bad, and there is some there's evil. There's evil in the world, obviously. And when something like that happens, I'm like, man, you're just like, that's just you're a bad person.
I mean,
It's irritating.
you definitely are not, you definitely have some bad stuff coming for you.
I know. Yeah. That's just it. It's like, if you're doing this, like the people that scam old people, where, call them and literally take advantage of old people is like, they have a special place. And it's, anyway, so we'll probably be just buying the Duna.
I was like, so we're done. So we're done with Facebook Marketplace now because this was
number two.
Twice.
I didn't actually get scammed the first one.
No.
I kind of figured it out and was just like, yeah, this is BS. Because they kept trying to get me to pay online and buy it online.
Yeah, and have it shipped.
And I was like, no, I'll come and see it for myself and then I'll decide. And then they left the chat. So always try to see something in person before you pay any money. I think that's the key if you're going to go down this route. So many scams on marketplace.
It's like, it's hardly even worth it.
It's going to have to come from either a friend, somebody I already know, or I guess, a follower maybe.
Anyone
but
got
other
a
than
Duna
that,
they're almost done
anybody
with?
have a Duna that they're done with or like almost done with? They want to either give it to us or sell to us. Anyway, this is going to be, this one's going to be about you. I know. I had to have a little intervention for myself. Or not intervention. Intervention is not the right word. What is that called? When you like unload?
Oh, sure.
What's it called?
I don't know. Just get it off your chest.
Yeah. Vent.
Vent.
That's it. I wanted to, I just needed a vent session. I'm glad you guys are here, but hopefully I helped you also figure out,
Not get scammed on
Facebook Marketplace. But I got a bunch of really great questions. I'm going to because I asked our followers to ask you questions. What questions did they have for you? So you'll be 37 when this comes out. So let's just start with one of the questions.
Okay.
Here's just like a nice starter. How are you feeling?
Oh, that is a nice.
They also said you look fantastic.
Oh,
but
thank
how are
you.
you feeling through this pregnancy?
I feel good. At this point, I just feel really big and pretty uncomfortable most of the time. So I'm pretty done.
You're pretty done with pregnancy. Yeah.
Pretty
How would you,
done.
another one was, how would you rate, like how has pregnancy been for you? Honest rating, 1 to 10. I guess you'd have to go trimester to trimester.
A friend asked me this the other day, and I feel like it averaged out to about a 5.5.
Because trimester 1 was what?
This trimester 1 I absolutely hated. I would give it a 1. I despised pretty much every bit of it.
Yeah, because you were pretty sick.
I wasn't even like, I know people have way worse first trimesters than I did.
You were just really nauseous and tired.
I hated it. I hated being nauseous. I hated being tired. I hated gaining weight, but not looking pregnant. I hated the way my body I hated everything about it. Okay. Except besides the fact that I knew that obviously I was pregnant.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Second trimester I loved. It was great. I felt awesome. I could work out almost without any restrictions.
You were pregnant enough where people knew that you were pregnant.
I was obviously pregnant, so I was like feeling good in my body. So I would give trimester 2 like an 8 because I still would prefer to not be pregnant. But I'd give that an 8. And then the third trimester, because also, but I felt good, and like we've done so much in this last bit of me being pregnant. I would give it probably like a 6, I think I said.
Mm-hmm.
So
a 1 and then an 8, you said?
Mm-hmm.
A 1, an 8, and a 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'd probably give this a 5, your third trimester.
You're probably right.
It's not close to your second trimester.
No. Especially not now. Early third trimester, I was still good.
Right.
Like when we were traveling a lot,
yeah,
I still felt good. It's really been since once I hit 34 weeks, I was kind of like, oh, okay, hello. I feel uncomfortable. And now I'm just pretty uncomfortable. I don't know, I was really uncomfortable today specifically. So just to be asking me the question right now is like, I'm just over the whole thing.
Yeah, hard to breathe. You just felt full.
Just like really big and heavy.
Sausagey.
Not even sausagey. Just like my belly feels very heavy, and my back was hurting today, and it's hard to breathe, and I'm done with it. I'm ready for him to be on the outside.
In due time.
Right.
Being healthy and all that stuff.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
You hear that?
But I also don't want to wish the last few weeks away. So I'm trying to
not
do that.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's probably a hard place to be. You're like, you're anxious to have your like pre-pregnancy body back or have your quote unquote normal body back, but also trying not to rush the process of pregnancy, because it's, a hard season, but a beautiful season in your life. And, it will be such a blip in time.
I know. Yeah.
Like when you look back,
it's very minimal in the grand scheme. Just in the moment when you feel uncomfortable or when you can't sleep or when everything's hurting, it's just kind of like, all right, I'm over it.
Yeah. I know. I feel bad too, because I feel like I can't do anything to really help that much.
Yeah, that's okay. It's just part of it. You do everything you can.
Can you talk about your pregnancy? This is another one. Can you talk about your pregnancy after loss? So after having your miscarriage, can you talk about being pregnant now? Like what that's like? Has that been like a fearful journey at all? Maybe in the beginning.
Definitely in the beginning, anxiousness for sure. Before the first ultrasound, I was definitely like trying not to get my hopes up.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, right.
But I also didn't want to like exist completely in fear. So the beginning was definitely, I would say the beginning was the hardest part. Although I definitely had some moments. I've had moments all the way through the whole course of my pregnancy where it's like, oh, I'm really looking forward to going to the doctor just to, because it's just a reassurance.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, obviously my experience is I've only had one experience, and that's being pregnant after having a miscarriage. So
yeah, right.
So I don't know if I would have those same feelings regardless, because it's the first time that I'm experiencing something, and I don't know if what I'm feeling is what I'm supposed to be feeling, quote unquote, So I think having it be like my first time being pregnant or carrying to full term, and also having the miscarriage before, it's like almost two things, because I feel like you'd still have some anxiousness when it's your first time, because you've never experienced it before.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily know what to expect. You don't know how, and not that, I've also heard that every pregnancy is very different. So, but I feel like there's still some like, oh, this is relatively normal, or this is not, this seems off, or I don't know, just things that you learned the first time you were pregnant that give you more peace of mind if it's your second time being pregnant.
Makes sense.
So I feel like before every doctor's appointment, especially up until, 20 weeks, like the anatomy scan. I was definitely nervous before every appointment.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like fearful. I was nervous combined with excited. But I also did have a sense of relief after every appointment. But I wouldn't say that if I had to like overarchingly describe how I felt over the course of pregnancy, like anxiousness has not been a main thing.
No.
By any means.
No, I haven't. I mean, even in the first trimester, I never got that from you at all.
Yeah.
Like maybe our first one, like our first ultrasound, I could tell that there was some anxiousness going into that one just because it was our first one after. And I think that's totally normal. I think that's totally warranted. But outside of that, I have not sensed that at all. It's been you've been a rock star. You've just been acting as normal as, I mean, it's as if like nothing's really changed other than you getting a belly. Like I haven't noticed anything really change that much. Just in your day to day too, you like your energy levels and stuff. And like, it's impressive. And you're like working out every day still. And whether it's walking or not, that's difficult probably for you. How do you handle all the emotions that come with your pregnancy and are afraid? Oh, this is kind of like two questions. How do you handle all the emotions that come with pregnancy, and are you afraid of childbirth?
That's
kind of a two-parter.
Yeah. I feel like I haven't actually been that emotional over the course of my pregnancy. I've had a few moments, but
yeah, I mean, you've only had a couple moments. The when it was raining in June.
Well, it wasn't even raining, it was just cloudy.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was cloudy in June.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
was crying.
That was enough to make her cry. But outside of that,
I think that's maybe the most ridiculous thing I cried about. Oh, well, that and the NSYNC appearance at the Justin Timberlake concert that I wasn't there for.
Actually, now that you bring that up, that's probably up there. You're gonna have to tell that story.
Well, on Instagram, I came upon this video of NSYNC. Like, it looks like it was an NSYNC concert. And I was like, okay, what is this? And then I got very sad because I was like, why didn't I know there was going to be an NSYNC concert? Like, why did no one inform me of this?
And she had about had it with that.
And I literally started to cry. And then I obviously did some more digging. I realized it was a Justin Timberlake concert and NSYNC made an appearance, but still I was like,
she was pretty upset.
Why did no one tell me that this was happening?
It was pretty rude of you, NSYNC and Justin Timberlake, for not letting her know about that.
Yeah.
She's been your biggest fan, one of your biggest fans since you came out. Sorry, I guess we're boring her.
No, not at all. It's just blame the pregnancy. I think that happened in California, which once I discovered that, I felt much better because I was like, if that happened in New York, I would have been absolutely livid. Like, this is something I could have ridden the subway to, and I didn't even know it was happening.
For sure.
So once I found out I was in California, I actually felt much better.
Oh, okay. That's far enough away.
Yeah, I was like, that's across the country. I probably wouldn't have been able to get to that.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, are you afraid of childbirth?
I wouldn't say afraid anymore. I would say, am I looking... I don't really know I don't even know if there's a word to describe what I am. It's just like it's an experience I've never had. So I don't even know how I feel because it's completely unfamiliar territory, and you can read all the things you want to educate yourself all you want, but if you've never done it, you've never done it. So at this point, I'm honestly looking forward to it because it means I'm not pregnant anymore.
Yeah.
It means
that's good.
He's ready to come out, and that's
the longest time you were not looking forward to it, or you were just because it's in the unknown.
Right.
My goodness. Yanni
I'm sorry. It's almost 11 p.m.
Yeah. I told you we could have done this tomorrow.
but I didn't want to.
Okay. So these aren't all pregnancy questions.
Great.
There's a lot of some other good ones, but there are. I'm just going to keep on the pregnancy path right now, and then we're going to get in some juicy ones from our past. And things like that.
Okay, great. Yes, I'll let you know how I feel about childbirth after it happens.
Yikes. What's your birth plan? There was a lot of questions asking about what your birth plan was. And like, are you doing natural or are you doing epidural?
In a perfect world, I do it naturally. Mm-hmm. That's my current plan. That's what I've been educating myself to do. But I'm also not in a headspace where if I end up getting an epidural, like I'm going to feel like a failure.
Or guilt around it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because obviously every situation is different. And if I could plan it, if I could lay it out exactly as I want it to be, I would labor at home for as long as possible. And I would get to the hospital and they would be like, it's too late for you to have an epidural. And I would be like, okay.
It kind of forces you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My goal is that I am able to wait so long that they tell me that it's too late for me to have an epidural. And then I know that I have no other choice.
Yeah. So they basically put you up against the wall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Birth plan wise, do you have a birth, or is this the birth plan?
Yeah,
we do have a doula. We are going to have a doula, which I'm excited for.
Yes.
Because it's going to just take the pressure off of me. Mm-hmm. And just so that I can be a little bit more present.
Yeah.
In the moment and not have to be like the answer to if questions come up and emotions are heightened and I'm not sure what to do. And so we're actually really looking forward to that and having that just second person in there.
Yeah. Giving birth at the hospital because the clinic I've been going to, they're partnered with the hospital. The clinic I'm going to is primarily midwives. They have OBGYNs for if you have anything that's out of the ordinary and you need that next level of care, but most likely I'll give birth with the midwife and our doula will be there with us. And I just like that she can come here to the apartment when I'm like, in the early stages of labor. And then we have someone who can be like, okay, you should probably go to the hospital now because I have no clue. No idea.
Me neither.
So I'm grateful for that.
We just saw a video of this woman who just gave birth in a car.
Yeah.
POV, gave birth in a car or something like that.
Yeah.
And she's just like holding her baby, her newborn baby in a car. It must have been like I'm assuming they were on their way to the doctor and didn't make it.
Yeah.
And gave birth in a car.
Yep.
Man, women are amazing.
It's crazy.
It's just crazy. Amazing.
But it's like everything I've read or everyone I've talked to who has expertise is like that happens because when it's time to push, like when your body just pushes. Like when it's time to push, it's time to push.
And it's not manufactured.
And it's just like you're pushing because you have the overwhelming urge to push.
Oh man.
It's like
it's going to be great. About it. I mean, just think about your mom. Like what her birth story was.
I would happily take that.
So basically what happened with her mom is that what happened?
She started having contractions at 6 a.m. with me. She like got ready for the day, like did her makeup, did her hair, all of the things. My dad kept calling the doctor being like, okay, contractions are this far apart, this far apart, this far apart. And then they go to the hospital. So contractions start at 6 a.m. They go to the hospital at 2 p.m. I was born at 4:32.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as good as you're going to get.
And when she got to the hospital, she couldn't have an epidural. Like it was too late for her to have an epidural. So she just had to, and then 2.5 hours later, I was out.
Man, God bless.
I was like,
that's going to be your story.
That.
Yes. It's a genetic,
Give me
I think.
That.
I think I think it's a genetic thing. So that would be good.
Yeah, those are the main elements of my birth plan as far like hospital with a midwife and a doula, ideally natural, but if all I care about is that he gets here healthy and I'm healthy.
Yep.
And whatever needs to happen for that to be the case, I'm fine with. Yep. And as long as I know what's going on and there's never a time where like I'm confused about what's happening, then I'm happy.
Amen. Okay, a couple more pregnancy ones. What's been the biggest lesson God has taught you during pregnancy?
Oh my.
It's a good one.
That is a good one. I would say it's the lesson that I'm constantly learning over and over again, even without pregnancy, is that how much I accomplish does not dictate how valuable I am.
Well, that's another question that's coming up.
I've been very blessed during my pregnancy, and I have been able to keep my capacity pretty at its normal level. Mm-hmm. And I've developed over time an extremely high capacity for anything, for life, and for just getting things done. Mm. And what is a big deal? Most things are not that big of a deal, Mm-hmm. But pregnancy has definitely brought all of those things back up to the performance-driven nature in me. The fact that I definitely still have, I think for the entire time I'm on Earth, I will be working towards the feeling and the understanding that like I'm enough just as I sit here.
Like self-image wise, like body wise, or like accomplishment wise.
Accomplishment wise. For sure. Accomplishment wise, more than anything else. Image wise, I like to be healthy. Mm-hmm. That's a different thing. I don't feel like I don't attach value to body image. I just like being healthy and feeling good.
Well, you have been saying that it's not your butt lately.
Yeah, it's not my butt. It's just not my butt.
Like almost daily, just in the past like week or so, she's just like, I mean, I just get a glimpse of myself in a video or in a mirror and go, that's not my butt.
That's not my butt. Like, that's not what my butt looks like. Like, I don't know whose butt that is, but it's not mine.
Who put someone else's butt on me?
Yes, that's
and where's my butt?
And where did my butt go? That's not my butt. So I'm definitely looking forward to having my own butt back wherever it got off to. But that I don't feel how I kind of an easy way to equate it for me is like I'll say it was a good day because I got all these things done.
Yeah.
And it's like what dictates whether I had a good day, quote unquote, was how much I got done. It's never been what I look like. Mm-hmm. That doesn't dictate me having a good day.
Yeah.
It's how much I accomplish. I'm healthy and I want to feel good. And whatever that body is the body that I want. Mm-hmm. So that one is like, I just like to exercise and be healthy and feel good.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like to feel good in their own body,
Yeah.
So for me, it's more the accomplishment side of things that I'm just like, that does not dictate my value. And that does not, it's so, especially as a Christian and as like the understanding that my goal is to love God more every day, love people more every day, get closer to God every day. But my flesh is like, that doesn't matter. Like, I need to accomplish this.
Yeah, accomplishment.
Like if I can cross this off a list.
Your value as a human is as good as your bank account and your like, I guess, fame or like accomplishment in a certain area.
Just accomplishment in general.
Progressing in certain areas.
Yeah.
Well, that's because that's what is highlighted in culture and in society is you don't see many posts about like this person was a great father and a great husband and like led his family great and provided provided fine.
Yes. Enough. Yeah.
And they lived very happily.
Yeah.
You don't see those.
Right.
They're not interesting and people don't, don't care for them. They won't get the clicks. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to see it. You're going to see the accomplishments. So you're going to see the people that are the best at absolutely everything. Mm-hmm. And that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a constant battle for people.
Yeah.
To like know that you're valuable as a person and your value doesn't come from that. Your value comes from God and what he says about you.
Right. Innately valuable. Those are things that
intrinsic
I know.
As opposed to
extrinsic.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, I would say another layer of that performance drivenness and the pulling my value from what I'm accomplishing on a day-to-day basis is definitely just the biggest thing that I've learned in pregnancy. Just
well, one of the questions is literally that. How do you accept that just being me is enough and accomplishing things doesn't equal value? So like, how do you do that?
Let me know if you figure it out.
that might just be something that you work on for your whole life.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm like, that will be something that I'm consistently checking in with, working on.
Yeah.
In my current season, where am I wrongly pulling my value? It's something that I have to constantly be aware of. And I'm sure with raising a kid, there will come more layers of that as well. It's like tying how valuable I am to what's happening with him.
For sure. And like your parenting and like judgments on that.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a whole nother level of accomplishment. Like tying your parenting to how well our kid does in certain things.
Yes.
Yeah. Like that's going to be something we just need to shed and like make sure, because it kind of goes both ways. Like you're not
going to take credit for their successes.
It's kind of like both and you can't, it's like you have to kind of stay in the middle.
Yeah, it's exactly what a couple episodes ago, what Jack was saying that Gary Vee said about reading your comments.
Yeah. Right.
Like if something really great makes your emotions peak and you're like, wow, I'm amazing, then the same thing will happen when there's something negative.
Right.
So I feel like it's a similar concept of like, I'm not going to pat myself on the back when he has an accomplishment, nor am I going to give myself 40 lashings if he makes a wrong decision.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. To answer your question, as something tangible, I would say that for two very performance driven people, it's a lot of prayer, and it's just like a daily thing to work on. I think counseling helps a lot as well for us, talking to somebody that can help, work through, those thought patterns and maybe like childhood scripts that we've taken on and are holding on to and maybe put too much value in. Yeah. I would say prayer, counseling, and just getting more and more in touch with your thoughts, which is a daily, I know that's like so silly, but the more and more you can become self-aware of your thoughts and your thought patterns and catch them before they spiral too much, the more you can practice that, I think the faster you'll be able to stop yourself from getting too far down the spiral.
Yeah. Taking your thoughts captive, and even like writing those things down. Like when you have a thought and processing that not every thought that we have is true.
Yeah.
Especially the thoughts we have about ourselves.
Do you feel late to the game having a baby in your 30s?
It's an interesting question. No, because I didn't want a baby before I was at the phase in my life that I am now.
Right.
And like, I didn't want a baby when I was 25 and I wasn't equipped to have one.
Right.
That would have been an irresponsible choice on my part. I love seeing young families now, but that's just not my story.
Right.
And I'm fine with that. What's the point in wishing that I had done it earlier,
Well, yeah, and just like the way that your life happened as well. Like
my path is my path.
Yeah, like your first marriage ended when you were what, 27 years old. For those who don't know, she was previously married. He came out as gay, and then we
weren't married anymore.
And then they weren't married anymore, and then I swooped in, and now we're married. But that happened when we were 27 or whatever, and then you're like now kind of having to restart, and learn, like have a new relationship and get that going, and then get to a place to like be ready to have kids. It's not like you wanted to rush into that, and we wanted to have some time to not have kids and enjoy ourselves and enjoy the world. And so, yeah.
Even when I was younger, like, I don't know, when I was 18 or even in early college, I always imagined that I would like get married around when I was 30 and have a kid when I was like 35.
Oh,
that's like always kind of what I imagined. And not that we can plan out a timeline like that by any stretch of the imagination, because you really can't at all. But I don't feel late to the game because I know who I was when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And like, I could not have raised a child because
you would have just figured it out though.
Of course I would have figured it out, but I was not. Who I am now is going to be such a better mom than I would have been because of all the work that I've done on myself. And I'm not saying that you have to do all this work and you have to wait to have kids until you do all this work on yourself, because that's not everyone's story. That just happens to be my story and my trajectory,
right,
where I was able to do a lot of personally growing before I got to the season of having kids.
Yeah.
And
here we are. Yep. It's like, it's our journey, it's our journey. It's our story. And you can always play the what if game all the time. And it's just, in my opinion, it does you no service. It doesn't do you any favors to say like, if only I would have started social media when I was 21 instead of waiting and now doing it when we were in our 30s. Like we're so behind. We could do that all day, but guess what? I didn't do it, or else I would have. So
there really wasn't much social media then.
So stop doing that in your life. If you do that, where you're like, man, if only I would have you didn't, and there's a reason that you didn't, or else you would have done it. Yeah. So it's like there's no point in just living in the past. There's no point in doing that.
Well, if there's something that you're putting off, just start.
Just do it. Just start now, and stop thinking that it's too late.
Yeah.
That's such BS. All right, moving on to something very fun.
There. Yeah.
Something a little bit more fun. There's a lot of questions about your new, and it actually it'll be out now, but your headband and clip collection that you did a collab with.
That's fun.
Lilac Market, and she has her own. This is her first like product and like line.
Co-collab, is that what they call them?
Yeah, I think so. But it's like your own line, like your own headband and clip collection. She's a big clip girl and a headband girly. Like I rarely see her with her hair down. She wears clips and headbands all the time, and they look amazing. And it's been a really cool project to see you do, and you've worked really hard and put a lot of meaning into them. But
it's been really fun. I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to Lilac Market because they're the experts in the fact that they wanted to create something with me that is so personal. It was really cool. You have one in right now. It was really cool. I do have one in right now. This clip.
Do you see it?
I probably can't even turn enough. Yeah. I connected with Lilac Market. I don't know if it was the owner, Kelsey, who reached out to me initially. I think it was. On Instagram, because being like, you wear a lot of headbands when you work out. Like, would you want to try our headbands? So I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'm always looking for a better, wasn't attached to the headbands I was using. So she sent me some, loved it. And then we just kind of continued the conversation. I learned that she was based out of Springfield, Missouri, and she started the business in her college dorm, and it scaled up. And it's just I just have so much respect for small business owners who build something like that from the ground up. And they stick with it and they scale it. And I mean, she and her husband are just the sweetest people.
Yeah.
We got to meet them when they came to New York to, for my photo shoot for the line, which was also very fun. So it's just been cool to be able to develop a relationship with them and be able to support and kind of be in partnership with a woman-owned small business is really cool. And just the fact that they have been so thoughtful in regards to the design of the headbands, and I came with kind of my inspo and my vision board for what
my aesthetic kind of is, but then they really helped me level it up and take it. There were some things that I knew I wanted in there that were personal, but they kind of helped me take it to the next level of making it even more personal.
Yeah.
As far as like having things related to New York City, and just like with the naming of the clips, like it's just been a really fun, a way more fun project than I was anticipating.
Yeah.
Kind of like way more involved and feels much more personal than I was anticipating. Like I know it's
each one
clips and headbands, but
also has like there's a lot of meaning in each one. Like one that's named after your grandma, who actually just recently passed away at 97 years old. Another one that is based off your brother, who passed away when he was
it was in 2015.
2015. I never even got to meet him, and that is always so sad to me, because that was a big part of your life and a big part of your parents' life. And then one that is named after you, the one that is New York City. And they're all just so cool. Yeah. They're all really cool. So if you wear a clip or if you wear headbands for working out, they're so comfortable too. Definitely go and check them out. Lilac Market.
They're fun.
Check out Sarah's line.
And even like all of their stuff.
Yeah. And
like,
all of their stuff's just really great.
All the various options for clips and headbands that they have are just really fun. Tons of like just really unique headband patterns. And they have something for everyone. So if what I created is not your aesthetic, I guarantee there's something there that is, because they're great at what they do.
Moving on to kind of like a different chapter of your life.
Okay.
Kind of going backwards.
Oh.
So if you haven't heard our story, how we met on the Beauty and the Beast National Tour. She was married at the time to somebody, and very early in the tour, it was like a few months in, 3 months in, he comes to a performance and tells her that he's gay and comes out. And then after that, we had a pretty close friendship, and
a pretty close friendship.
Yeah, we were really close in our friendship.
Quote, if you can't see me, I'm using a lot of air quotes.
Became friends and friendly.
And became friendly.
And then here we are today.
I
mean, 9 years later,
almost
married for 4 years, almost 4. Yeah, it'll be 4 years when this comes out.
Yeah.
About
very close. It'll be really close to our anniversary, crazy. Actually.
So with all that,
took us on a quick journey.
Somebody said, were you scared to meet someone else after your first marriage?
Yeah, that's a good question. I honestly wasn't, but I definitely was not anticipating that the next person who I was with was going to be the person that I ended up with.
Which was immediately.
And I think that's why I wasn't nervous about it, because I was like, this is just like a fun distraction.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about it as a long-term.
It was a rebound distraction, like
I
wasn't
thinking about it as a rebound, because I really liked you as a human being. I mean, I still do, obviously, but I really I enjoyed your company. It wasn't just like a physical thing, even though that was a large part of it
Holy moly.
the time. But I enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah.
And we had like our faith foundation in common, and I just enjoyed being with you as a person, and as friends, I enjoyed being with you.
Yeah.
So I hesitate to call it a rebound, but I definitely...
You thought it was like a summer fling, though.
Yeah. For sure. I was like, we're on tour.
Yeah.
This is a fun way to distract myself. Yeah. Also, my brother had passed away a handful of months before that.
Her brother, who had spina bifida, passes away. And then 2-3 months after that.
3 months later. He passed away in September, and then it was very early January
that your husband came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was 2 pretty big moments for you.
Yeah. So I was just looking for a fun distraction.
For sure.
And so I think that's why I wasn't nervous, because I wasn't putting a lot of pressure on the situation, because I was like, this is probably only temporary. And once I I knew that I needed to actually heal myself from these things that I had experienced. And so I was like, once I go on that journey, then I'll like take a relationship seriously, you know? But then we just kept
hanging out.
yeah, we just.
Well, luckily we had people that came into our life that could some mentors and some counselors that came and kind of like helped us a lot in our relationship.
Yes.
Otherwise we probably would not have been married or together and just have been contained and down the patterns that we were living and going.
Absolutely. Because I wouldn't have.
It's kind of crazy to think about.
I wouldn't have grown. I wouldn't have started to grow as an individual. We probably wouldn't have decided to not have sex.
Yeah.
And to like take that off the table completely as part of our relationship.
Yeah.
That was your decision, but I probably wouldn't have gotten on board with that.
Right.
Had we not crossed paths with people who could just help us.
Yeah. To give some context.
Develop and learn.
Before somebody's just like, what? So our relationship started very physical. Like, we were living in sin, as they say. And then we were, and then we came back to New York, and I was like, okay, I really like this girl. I see a future with her, and I want to like see what this relationship is without the physical aspect. I grew up Christian, so that was like, I kind of had that Christian guilt, I guess you could say, after, like having premarital intercourse.
Ew, why don't you just say sex?
Okay, well, I'm trying to be proper.
How is that more proper? I don't like that.
Isn't that like
I'm not mature enough for
doctor. That's what doctors say. I'm just trying to be mature here.
I can't.
Yeah, obviously not. And so I was like, hey, I like don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to do anything but kiss. And, and she's like, F you.
I mean, basically.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you're gay too. Like that.
For sure.
That's what I had just come from. And I hadn't worked through the self-image things that stirred up for me. So it was just the timing of that.
Yeah, it was bad timing.
It wasn't really great for me and my self-image.
Like, went from somebody who doesn't want my body or want me to another person now who doesn't seem to want me or want my body as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, well, these guys like me, like they like all the other parts of me.
Sure.
But that part is not enough.
But that was not the case for me. I wanted to do it to see what the relationship was and build a relationship outside of that so that we could see what it entailed, basically. And it ended up being the best thing that we did.
Absolutely.
And once
it really was.
We both got on the same page with it. Once like Sarah learned
once I stopped
basically the why behind it.
Yes. And once I stopped trying to force him to like go back on what he said he wanted to do. Like I wasn't helping the situation at all because I would just try to make him, I would try to derail what he said he wanted.
Yeah. So after a couple loophole moments, it was like 4 years, I think, right? 3 years?
I think 3 and change.
3 years.
Maybe 3.5.
Where we did nothing but kiss.
We barely even kissed.
And we barely kissed because if we like
we like out, pecked.
Yeah, we pecked on the lips, but if we like made out, then things are gonna get heated.
We lived together and we slept in the same bed. So and we didn't do anything.
Wouldn't recommend it. It just was why would you put yourself in that position? I don't know.
Because you live in New York City.
You live in New York City and you're trying to save money. So that's what we did. Now obviously we're married and we have had sex since, as you can see by the belly.
Yeah. But all that to say, I never really had the time to be afraid of entering into the next relationship because of just the way that it went.
Yeah.
And
you didn't really go through a period of also maybe being scared that you would never find somebody again. I don't know if that would ever cross your mind, but
I'm sure it would have.
Yeah. That's probably a pretty normal thing for people to think after something like that.
Yeah.
I did after my first girlfriend in high school.
You thought you would never find someone again?
Genuinely. That's such high school though, right?
But that's like it's not so much like this anymore, but on The Bachelor.
Oh boy.
When it would be like, they would get sent home and they'd be like, why will no one ever love me? And it's like, that's so dramatic. What are you talking about? It's one person. You barely even knew the person.
I know, but that's how that is. But that's also how high school was. Like after, like everybody remembers their first love.
Of course.
And if that ended, you just know how that feeling was. Yeah. It was like, I will never find somebody that will get me.
Yeah, that's
like this person.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Everything is so heightened. I think because also we're at this developmental stage of our brain in our life. Everything is heightened.
Yes.
I mean, I was listening to a podcast, and it was Andrew Huberman, and he was just talking about how songs in your high school years, maybe even your college years, will be more potent for you,
like memory wise,
and just like stimulus wise, as later, like songs later are, because of what they meant and what like the nostalgia behind it, and certain like moments maybe in your time.
Yeah.
The first time you touched hands with a girl or a boy, and the first time you kissed, or first time, I remember like we, like Ice Age, it was like with my first girlfriend, we just made out
during
whole
Ice Age
time, and but it was like, why Ice Age? It didn't matter what it was. It could have been Moses. It didn't matter. We just put on something to have something on, But anyway,
that's so funny. No, but that's definitely true. I can think back to like the music I listened to in high school. I still love so much.
Oh, of course.
Because
think about like that. What are the songs that come on that you're just like, oh man, this song just like, it's like the early 2000s.
Yeah,
early 2000s hits.
Mine's like not mine's not even hits. Mine's like,
who's not going to absolutely get down with that?
Mine's like not even hits. Mine's like Ben Folds from
from
like 2001.
Okay. What was happening with Ben Folds? Remember,
because the first time I ever listened, because basically when I got into high school, I was still listening to like NSYNC. Always comes back to NSYNC.
Everything does.
Just like, I didn't really have I hadn't developed, like, I hadn't figured out what my music taste was when I got into high school. And then I met my high school boyfriend, and he was like super into music. And so he gave me the CD of Ben Folds, Rockin' the Suburbs, and I will never forget the first moment that I put the CD into my like purple see-through Walkman. Did anyone have a Walkman like this? Where you could like kind of see the inner workings of it? The top was purple, and I put the CD in there, and I put on the little, the headphones that were with it, and I heard just the first chords of the song Annie Waits. And if you don't know the song, you should go listen to the song Annie Waits by Ben Folds. It's not going to make you feel the same way it makes me feel, but it's a really good song because it's just like these piano chords it starts out with. And I was like, I remember being like, oh wow, like this is like actual music. Cause it's all like Ben Folds plays the piano like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's all instruments. And I had listened to so much like pop music that wasn't really instruments. It was more like synthy kind of. And so, from that moment on, like my music taste completely transformed. And so that album, that to this day is like, if someone was like, what's your favorite album? I would say that, because it was so like transformative for me at a time in my life when I was really like developing.
Yeah.
So I agree.
Okay, final two questions. How was your forgiveness journey when it came to your ex? And how was your family when it came to forgiving your ex?
Well, I talk a lot about my forgiveness journey in we have another episode where I talk a lot about that. We have a couple where I like really dive into kind of the process I went through when it came to that. But all to like keep it as succinct as possible, I would say that from the moment that he told me, I knew that I wanted to forgive him because I knew that he wasn't trying to intentionally hurt me. It just was a byproduct of the situation. And so I was very committed to, obviously, number one, getting to the place in my heart where I had fully forgiven and I really had no bitterness left towards the situation. And I also knew that my actions in response were going to dictate how others' actions and response, what it was going to look like, especially with my own family.
Yeah.
I really tried to be very aware and intentional with the words that I used, how I described the situation, not talking negatively about him, just like saying what happened, not trying to, not like
heighten it,
yes,
heighten the emotions.
Yes, exactly. Like make it more than it was. Like it just was what it was. I don't know. I can't say for sure. I'd have to ask them, but I feel like my response dictated the response of like, oh, okay. If that's how we respond, if I had been like, I hate him, he's out of my life forever, like I never want to talk to him again, I feel like other people would have done the same thing.
Yeah, jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah, but sure. I didn't respond that way, and I never wanted to.
It took her like a full year to feel like the forgiveness happened.
Absolutely.
She prayed every day.
When forgiveness happens, I can't remember. I feel like in our episode where that's like fully focused on forgiveness, I feel like maybe I quote this, but it's like the decision to forgive and the feeling aren't necessarily the same
day.
At the same time.
Yeah.
And that's why like literally the moment he told me, I decided that night that I wanted to like completely forgive and have a rectified friendship with this person. But I didn't feel that completely until about a year later. And that was a lot of God. Needed help from God for sure with that. But I will never forget that like the response that my grandma had and how she was like, cause that was in 2015. So that's like 9 years ago. So she would have been like 88. Like her response, when you're 88 and you're kind of, you're 88, you're kind of stuck in your ways and, whatnot. And so I'll never forget that, like when she found out what happened and, I don't know if Nick communicated with her or what, but she like responded to him. She sent him a text. It was like, you're still a grandson to me. Something like just very sweet and very just like, we're good kind of message.
Yeah.
And that meant a lot to me that was how she responded to that.
That's really sweet.
And I can't say that it's because she took the cues off of me, but I hope that the way that I responded led to other people responding with the same kind of grace.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, last question. How do you stay so positive and joy-filled?
That one is definitely like Jesus.
Yeah.
My faith. And I've always trended that way.
Yep.
As far as like how I think. And I've been blessed with just the way that I'm wired. It's kind of like that. But I really just having a relationship with God and with Jesus and just the gratitude that I have for what my life is. Mm-hmm. And even the gratitude I have for the things that haven't always been easy in my life. I just really, I like to think that I really appreciate we're here for such a short period of time. And just try to really appreciate what it is to be a human on Earth. And that, like, it's not always easy and it can be extremely painful, but there's so much beauty in it as well. And I also just like believing that it's just a blip. It's just a blip in time. And I'm like working to do everything I can to be all that God, to be who God intends me to be, and to do the work that he has for me here, so that then when my time here is done, I get to be with him.
You can party.
You know?
Well, thank you, Sarah, for coming down and
really like winded, just sitting here talking.
Yeah. Taking some deep breaths.
Who knew that like swollen nasal passages was a pregnancy symptom? I didn't until I was pregnant. I never heard anyone talk about that before.
Swollen? Oh, like stuffy nose?
Yes.
Oh man.
My nasal passages are more constricted during pregnancy than normal.
Well, that's a bum.
Probably feels like how you always feel.
Yeah, probably. I have a deviated septum. Always have, and yeah, I've always had nasal issues.
That's why, like, when I'm drinking water, I have to breathe so heavy because I feel I'm not getting enough air through my nasal passages.
Literally sounds like Darth Vader.
Kind of like a little kid almost, you know, when they're like trying to drink water so fast, but then like can't breathe at the same time. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, pregnancy. But yeah, this was fun.
Thank you. Yeah,
I love answering questions.
For answering all those questions, and I love you so much, and I'm just so excited. It's been an honor to see your journey in pregnancy, and just such a blessing. And I'm really excited to see our little one on the other side, and
excited to parent with you.
Everything that happens from that. It's going to be, I know that it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be hard at times, but it's going to be super rewarding and fulfilling. And I'm excited to do it with you.
I agree. Same, babe.
Well, as always, we like to end our podcast by saying goodbye. We both did the same note. Oh no, that probably was our worst one. We didn't even do a different note for the second one. Neither of us did.
I'm practicing my low sounds. Apparently that's good for when you're giving birth, when you're in labor.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Practicing low sounds?
Yeah, like making low sounds, like when you're pushing through a contraction. Like not exactly. But close.
Okay, bye.